It's clear that the leftists, they want to destroy America at this point. People have been saying, "Oh, that's not true, Carlos, an exaggeration," and you're just fear mongering. Well, the left, with everything that they've been doing, it's clear they don't want to make this country better. They only want to make it better for themselves, and it's really disappointing. Like I said in an earlier video, my most recent video talked about, are we in civil war? Personally, like I said myself, I think we already are. I think we're in the ideological phase, right? Ideologies clashing, lack of compromise, little skirmishes here and there, right? Skirmishes like that in in Chaz or Chop, skirmishes like that in New Mexico where a man defended himself against a mob of leftists, skirmishes like toppling down statues. I think right now we're in that phase. Can we stop it there, or is it going to escalate to actual battles? I don't know. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that point, but looking how things are going, it's gonna get worse, in my opinion, before it gets better. But these people, I don't know why they think that what they're doing is gonna get them a lot of support. Because it's one thing for a politician to give them support. Like literally, there's our politicians out there who are pushing for this type of behavior. But one of the things that makes it really difficult for a politician to do is representing the interests of their constituents, right? One of the biggest criticisms, for example, when it comes to AOC, is that a lot of people from her district feel like she's not representing them. They feel that she cares more about being a celebrity than an actual politician. That is why her main opponent, Michelle Cruz Cabrera, is actually running against her. Because she feels like her district and herself are fed up with AOC caring more about becoming a celebrity than an actual politician who's looking out for the interests of her district. Now, my representative is Luke Correa, right? When they were where I live in Santa Ana. My representative is Luke Correa. As much as I know him personally, because I know his son. I went to school with his son. He was in my college algebra class my senior year. Very nice kid. Very nice kid. Obviously now we're at the same age. We're both adults. But as a person, Luke Correa, nice guy. But as a politician, I think he's very abysmal. Like literally, during the whole impeachment process, I actually sent a letter to Luke Correa, not to mention to his son too. I told him, hey, if you ever talk to your dad, tell him that I said vote no on impeachment. I know it was not going to do much. Just let him know there's some people in his district that he represents that are not in favor of Trump's impeachment. But he voted in favor anyway, so whatever, right? But the point is, these politicians, they have to choose. Represent what a lot of they're gonna have to pick a side essentially. Right? I'm not gonna say that's a majority, but they have to pick a side. Support the people that are doing this, or support the people that are against this. Because one thing and one thing right now, the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance is framed that way for a reason. The founding fathers, just like every founding father, believed that the nation, the people living in that nation, should pledge their allegiance to the country, not the president, not the Speaker of the House, no, the country. Which is why a lot of people find very shocking that during the Obama administration, a lot of politicians were pledging allegiance to Obama, not the country, but Obama specifically. But one of the things that I did for literally 12 years of public school, because I went to public school my whole life, was every day for those 12 years recite the Pledge of Allegiance at basically during first period. And every time I said that, I wasn't pledging allegiance to George Bush, he was president when I was in school, or Obama. I said I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's what I made my pledge to. That's where my allegiance stands. It's this country. But when these leftists are trying to take down the country that I live in, when they're trying to destroy the history of the country that I live in, which side do you think I'm going to stand with? The side that's destroying my country's history? Because I can say my history. I was born here, and I'm goddamn thankful that I was born here. Because I'll tell you this right now, despite being of Mexican heritage, I do not want to live in Mexico right now, and I never have any intentions of living in Mexico. I don't like Mexico. As much as it's a rural area, which I prefer rural areas over cities, the country, in my opinion, sucks. And I can say that it's not racist because, again, I am Hispanic, right? But right now, they're basically destroying my country's history, destroying its culture. Why did my parents come here then? Right? Even my mom, who was literally like a freaking liberal, not in a bad way. She's a classical liberal, right? She's not a left wing nut job. But my mom and my dad, They came here, risked everything, went through the proper channels to become citizens here. They did everything right. Why did they come here then? They didn't come here to see the country that they didn't come here to see the country they moved into be destroyed by a bunch of crybabies who can't handle it when people don't say their pronouns. Now, when it comes to the statues, some could say it's a complicated issue in the sense that statues, at least in my opinion, right? I could be wrong, but in my opinion, statues have always been seen as a way to honor someone, right? Remember them, commemorate them. Someone to not idolize, but to hold in high regards, right? At least that's how I view statues, right? For example, the statue in the Lincoln Memorial, right? Abraham Lincoln sitting down on a chair, everything like that. I think they made that because they wanted to honor Lincoln, right? Same thing with Washington, same thing with Jefferson, right? But when it comes to Confederate soldiers, that's a little bit of a problem with me because I'm thinking to myself, if statues meant to honor someone, again, my opinion, of course, if statues are meant to honor someone, why are we honoring someone who fought for slavery, right? My opinion, take that statue, don't destroy it, take it to a museum, right? Because museum is a place for learning. It's supposed to be unbiased. Hopefully they are. Take that statue, put it in a museum, and then replace that statue with a plaque, right? Here used to be the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, right? But, and like I said, in my opinion, statues are meant to honor someone. Now, in some cases, I believe that some statues shouldn't be up because I think we're honoring people for the wrong reasons. But for Francis Scott Key, this guy wrote the Star Spangled Banner. If you're not aware of what it is, that's basically their national anthem. Now, the Star Spangled Banner is a little bit longer than their national anthem because it's actually a bunch of different paragraphs. But we have the initial part of the Star Spangled Banner. That's our national anthem. It ends with "The Home of the Brave," right? Obviously, it continues after that, and obviously, it's a good thing they cut a lot of that stuff off because, you know, if you go forward with the rest of Star Spangled Banner, it doesn't get good. But that first part, to me, at least to me, it represents America's perseverance. Now, the reason why Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner was because he saw a battle taking place. He was in the ocean, right? He saw the explosions, the gunfire, everything. Literally, like lights were like, it's not an exaggeration, really. When he says the rockets, red glare, and the bombs bursting in air, yeah, it wasn't an exaggeration. Literally, it was a really, really great battle during that time when he wrote that. And the thing that what makes it really magical, and I think what made him write the Star Spangled Banner, is that despite all of the destruction going around the flag, right, around the flagpole, I was holding up the flag, despite all the destruction, all the gunfire, all the commotion, right, the violence taking place, that flag was still up high, waving, waving in the darkness, right? And I think to me, when I read the words of Star Spangled Banner when I was in like around sixth grade, right, when I read that, to me, it represented America's perseverance. That in tough times, the American people can still stand strong and become better, right? Get over the problems that they're facing. At least that's what the Star Spangled Banner represents, what it means to me. Just think about it. All the gunfire taking place, going back to the battle that inspired Key to write this national anthem. All the gunfire, right? Explosions. That flag, that piece of cloth, if you want to go with that, a piece of cloth was still waving high, signaling that the United States had not fallen in that battle. In my case, the country, right? The country has a habit of persevering, overcoming hardship. And what's bad about that? Obstacles are good if you can overcome them. And I'll tell you this right now. There's nothing good. Right? Sorry. There's nothing better, in my opinion, there's nothing better than overcoming a harsh obstacle, because then it feels amazing when you overcome that obstacle. Here's why. I'm not the guy who wants to be a multimillionaire now. That would be nice. But to some degree, I'm also realistic. And to some degree, I've also learned to appreciate the little things, right? I don't have a fancy car. I don't have an expensive car, right? I actually drive a Prius. And I know it's a joke. I make fun of myself for that. But I drive a Prius. It's not the best looking car, but it gets me to work, right? It gets me to where I need to go. When it comes to a house, my vision of a house is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, front yard and a backyard. Right? Kitchen, obviously, and stuff like that. Just the basic stuff, though. Nothing fancy, nothing, nothing expensive. But to me, that don't seem like a good thing. It's difficult to own a home nowadays. To own a home, actually call it your home, that's something that I think that's something, an obstacle that I could overcome. That's my main obstacle that I want to overcome. I think once I overcome that obstacle, I think I'll be content with my life at that point. But going back to the situation of statues, now they're going after Ulysses S. Grant. If you're not aware of who Ulysses Grant is, he was the 18th president of the United States. Personally, myself as a president, he didn't do a good enough job during Reconstruction. Personally, myself, my opinion, I could be wrong. You disagree, but one thing that I'm pretty sure we can all agree with is that Ulysses Grant, he was a straight up beast during the Civil War. I mean, come on, this guy was ruthless. Like literally, like if you look at the history, this guy, dude, the Confederates feared this dude. He was ruthless. Mostly because sometimes could say he was an alcoholic, and that's why he was an alcoholic. He was very violent, stuff like that. Obviously, some historians disagree, right? But the point is, Ulysses Grant was a beast. He defeated the Confederacy, and not to mention, he literally was a huge opponent of the KKK. But now rioters in California are tearing down the statue. Why? I don't know. That's what amazes me. Why? This guy literally helped in ending slavery. Why are we taking down his statue? Because he's a white man? Is that what we're going with? He's a white man, therefore he must be bad? It's insane to me. But let's read a little bit, shall we? Rioters in California destroyed a statue of Ulysses Grant, not the one featured in the image above, on Friday night as far-left activists continued to destroy statues across the U.S. Grant, a Republican who served as America's 18th president, played a key role in helping the then president, Abraham Lincoln, win the Civil War. I think that's why they toppled on the statue, because he's a Republican. And Republican, Donald Trump is also a Republican, therefore he must be bad. No wonder they defaced. Literally, I think from what I heard that they vandalized the statue of Abraham Lincoln in Washington D.C. I think to myself, why? This guy was literally abolishing slavery, and you guys are gonna deface the statue. Now we're going with Grant, apparently. Ulysses Grant lived from 1822 to 1885, commanded the victorious Union Army during the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865, and served as the 18th President of the United States from 1869 to 1877. An Ohio native, Grant graduated from West Point and fought in the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848. During the Civil War, Grant was an aggressive and determined leader who was given command of all U.S. armies. Aggressive and determined is a bit of an understatement, guys. Like really, this guy was a beast. Like no joke, in a good way, in a good way. And after the war, he became a national hero. The Republicans nominated him for president in 1868. A primary focus of Grant's administration was Reconstruction, and he worked to reconcile the North and South while attempting to protect the civil rights of newly freed black slaves. Now, like I said, personally, he could have done better as president. I don't think he did a good enough job during Reconstruction. But as a general, this dude was awesome. He really was. But these leftists, they say they want to make America better, right? They want to make America better for the average Joe, right? For the everyday American, we need to make it better. What does toppling a statue have to do with helping the everyday American? Well, like seriously, how does that help people like me? I'm an everyday American. How does that help me? Instead, you're making people, everyday people, become hostile towards your movement. My mom, she's not a politically active person. She just wakes up, goes to work, comes home, makes dinner for everyone, goes to sleep. That's all she does. So does my dad. My sister, same thing. But when everyday Americans like my mom and my dad, they see people literally toppling down statues of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Ulysses Grant, Francis Scott Key, when they see them taking away images of Aunt Jemima because it's offensive, getting rid of Eskimo, I forgot what they're called. They're called Eskimo Pops or whatever. I don't know what they're called. I don't know. Eskimo pies. There we go. Those little fudge pops, like ice cream dipped in chocolate and stuff like that. They're called Eskimo pies. When my parents see Eskimo pies getting censored or changing the name because it's offensive, you really think they're gonna want to join that side? I don't think so. I don't think so. One of the things that I always like to tell myself is that I didn't support Trump in the beginning. Now, I did agree with him in the fact that he was against PC culture. I was getting sick and tired of PC culture myself, but I was never a huge Trump supporter back in 2016. And one thing that I like to say to myself, people ask me, "You're a Trump supporter?" This is my response to them, and hopefully, hopefully people start opening their eyes, and hopefully it becomes the same response. My response is always, I wasn't a Trump supporter at first, but the left labeled me a Trump supporter. And to some degree, it's true. Like, I support Trump not because I agree with him in some degree, right? Because I do believe in strong borders. I do believe that this PC culture is nonsense. But the reason why I became a Trump supporter is because the leftists, they were thinking that I was a Trump supporter. If being a Trump supporter means you are for free speech, you are for the Second Amendment, you are for strong border security, you are for, those things that usually Democrats and Republicans used to agree with, right? In the 60s, Kennedy agreed with free speech. He agreed with the Second Amendment. But now Kennedy looks more like a conservative. But if being a conservative means you support free speech, you support the right to bear arms, right? If that's where we stand, I'm a conservative. I've always believed those things, and I thought I was a Democrat. But clearly, the left has hijacked the party and has changed the standards. But I don't know, man. If we are in a civil war, again, my last video was talking about, are we in a civil war? If we are one, or if we are currently in one, I think we are. Right now, we're in the ideological phase, the clash of ideologies. Can there be compromise? And we're also in the phase of skirmishes, little tiny violent acts here and there. Right, in New Mexico, a man shot a rioter, a leftist rioter, in self-defense. Right now, and then we're also toppling down statues, right? Stuff like that, little skirmishes here and there. But are we gonna get to an actual civil war in terms of battlefields? Only time can tell. But personally, if Trump doesn't put a stop to this, everyday Americans are gonna do this. They're gonna take a stand. They're already doing it in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? They're already doing that. New Mexico, same thing. The New Mexico Civil Guard, I think that's what they were called. They were defending a statue. They were defending public property. If the executive isn't going to do this, the people are going to do it themselves. And trust me, I guarantee you, everyday Americans, they don't have the patience to that of an officer. I can guarantee you that. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share the video, helps out a lot. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think we're starting to you think we're starting to get a little too far when it comes to this toppling of statues? Because now we're not just going after Confederacy statues. We're going after statues of people who played a huge role in our history. The author of the Star Spangled Banner, the general who literally led the charge to end slavery, two of the founding fathers, and also to some degree they faced a statue of Abraham Lincoln. At least they vandalized it, they tagged it or something like that. Is that where we're going right now? Because again, everyday Americans look at this and say these people are not for America. They're against it. But that's what happens when you get people who are sheltered so much from mommy and daddy that even a simple misuse of a pronoun is offensive to these people. I'll see you guys in a bit. Next one's regarding the rallies that Trump is going to have today. Woohoo! Fortunately, I couldn't go. I have work. But I wish I could have gone. Anyways, see you guys in a bit. Remember, like, share, and subscribe.